I could talk myself into oblivion, and ultimately it's kind of an equation, the whole thing. Everything that we do on one side of the equation prepares ourselves to equal the fact that we can love inside ourselves unconditionally, that we can be happy people. And one side of the equation has all of the rough and tumble of life, it has all of the difficulties of life, and then you cross the void. And learning how to master all of the rough and tumble enables us to cross that void and open our arms and truly embrace life and learn how to love unconditionally. It's the entire journey right there. And it's amazing when I think about it, how simple the whole thing is, and how direct it is, and how human beings, because of their minds and emotions and ways that they live, they complicate everything. They make it so complicated that it's like spending your life trying to figure out how to get through a labyrinth. And it's not. Transforming the rough and tumble, transforming the labyrinth into joy, love, happiness, the highest possible emotions that a human being can live with on the earth. And in that, this clarity, we suddenly begin to see why we're born here and what our purpose is in living here. So it's not some difficult logarithm or some abstract approach to life. It's very simple, it's very clear, it's very Zen-like, And then there's that bridge that has to be crossed. Well, how do you cross that bridge into the other side of the equation unless you've managed to master yourself? That allows one to cross over the bridge. And then both sides of the bridge are part of the equation, and it all works together. We have learned to master the thing we were born here to learn to master. And that's how to transform tension, suffering, and the difficulty of living here into a spiritual life. Now, it's simple. I'm not saying this is easy. It's simple. And it's clear when a human being starts to do it. If you read it in a book, it's clear. But then when you start to do it, one is up against the one person who resists doing it, and that's oneself. And that's where all the complications come in. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? Now, just to, the complications are not terrible things. You understand? Illusion is not a terrible thing. Somebody asked me that this afternoon. Illusion is simply a reminder. They wanted to know if it was positive or negative. I said, it's not negative illusion. It's just a reminder, of what we have to do to transform the illusion into joy, into love, into a spiritual life. So it really just reflects our inner condition. And it's not something negative. It's just something that's telling us about ourselves and the kind of work that we have to do on ourselves. So instead of being angry at all of the obfuscations that exist in life, just be grateful for them. They're just a reminder. It's just us telling us what we have to do, because what we see in the external world is just a reflection of our inner life. And it makes it kind of amazing, you know? That even the things that we think are going to take our life away, they're not there for that purpose. They're just there to remind us what we have to do to grow and have a spiritual life. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? I hope this is clear. I mean, again, it's not easy to do, but the principles are very simple and very clear. They're not some physical, as I said, labyrinth that we have to, beat our brains out in order to understand. It's very simple. We look out at the world and we see a reflection of ourselves. And the world, illusion, Maya, is telling us what we have to do to change. We haven't arrived yet. And it's a good thing not to have arrived yet, because then you spend your time working and building a strong inner life. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? Okay, as I announced earlier, there will be a class this Sunday and Monday. But on Wednesday, I'm going to be going away for, I think, 6 days, 7 days, something like that. And, a well-needed rest and vacation. But there might be class, I don't know, we'll see. But at any rate, it's something that I have to do, I have to really take a rest. Does anyone have a question?
Stuart, I had a question.
Yes.
You mentioned the word illusion, and I was wondering if you could talk about illusion and the world that we're in right now and everything that's going on. I know it's not a simple question.
I once wrote a novel called Madness Falling from the Sky. I think that just about sums up this insane world that we live in today. But then you take individuals that live in this world. You understand? I mean, 80% of them are on drugs and they're trying to, keep themselves from literally committing suicide. The world is a crazy place. It's a neurotic place. And what you see outside yourself is a reflection of humanity. It's a reflection of what goes on in the mind and the hearts of human beings. Now, we don't have to live that way. Understand, we can open deeply enough in ourselves to be able to transcend it, to go above it, to see a whole different transcendental level of reality. Understand? And we look out at all of this, this abortion nonsense and all this stuff that people are doing. I mean, it really should be one's teacher of why we shouldn't get swept away into the craziness of the world. Because it's all an illusion. Today it's abortions versus war in the Ukraine. In 6 months, it's going to be a whole other thing. I mean, these strange people that are on the Supreme Court trying to destroy the world. It's really unbelievable, But it's something that manifests the condition of the human race and even nature. I honestly believe things like COVID and, things like all these hurricanes and storms and, it doesn't rain for 6 months in California. I mean, it's all a reflection. Nature is saying to people, grow up, learn to respect nature. Because if you don't learn to respect nature, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get COVID. You're going to get droughts. You're going to get hurricanes that blow cities away. You know, how much can you take out of nature before it's going to just rebel? It's a living entity. But that's the greed in people. They don't think like that. All they care about is money. And they will suck the earth dry and destroy the earth just to make money. So all of these things that are going on today, these really horrendous things, from these laws about people can't have abortions, and to droughts and hurricanes and fires that are destroying the whole Western United States, I mean, it is all a reflection of the insanity inside of people. And until people change inside, this is what we're going to have. And our thing is that we can use whatever is reflected on this planet, whatever, as a reason to grow and get closer to God. As a reason not to get swept away into it. And find in our hearts gratitude and forgiveness and joy and love. And even if one person does that, nature will begin to listen. I mean this. So yes, there's so much illusion and there's so much craziness. I mean, look, that title, Madness Falling from the Sky. I can't claim that I was the original writer of that sentence, because I wasn't. It was a quote that I took from a very great Indian saint and poet called Rabindranath Tagore. And when I lived in Paris years ago, I used to do poetry readings at a place called Shakespeare and Company. And I would go there. It's a very famous, English bookstore in Paris on the left bank. And I used to go there and I would browse, and I came across this book by Tagore of poems. And I read this line and I never forgot it because it was so true. It's madness falling from the sky. Because everything in our universe is a manifestation of God. And this is all the craziness that's going on is a manifestation of energy that is trying to teach the human race something. And people don't listen. Now, we're a small group of people. I don't know if we're going to change the world, but we certainly can change ourselves. We can certainly learn from the madness falling from the sky. We can certainly grow because of it, and become human beings on a very high level with forgiveness, with love, with compassion, and not allow ourselves to get swept away in the illusion, because all of that just goes one place. I've said it just goes to the grave, and then we got to be reborn again to try to do this thing again. I hope that's clear, I empathize because there's so much illusion in today's world. I don't know if it was any different like during World War II and the Depression. My God, I can't imagine what people lived through then. My parents and grandparents lived through all of that. And, I can't imagine media reporting on the Depression and World War II, how crazy everybody would be. But the whole point of everything I'm saying is one can use these teachings of God, this madness that is plaguing the world with COVID, with all this stuff, use it to grow in their own life and to say, this is a powerful energy that I could take into my chakra system and use to develop a whole transformative inner state of consciousness that doesn't allow me to get swept away in all of that insanity. This is something I should get up in front of the United Nations and talk about, but nobody would listen. They don't care, they only care about their self-interest, money, power, Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? Anyone else?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Okay, then, thank you all and God bless you. And there'll be meditation on Sunday and Monday, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Good night.
Good night.